Good evening, everybody. It is 5:04 p.m. and I'll call this public meeting to order. I want to thank everyone who is joining us this evening. If you want to make a public comment on the items listed under closed session agenda, please listen carefully to the directions provided by the clerk at the opening of each item. Mrs. Soto?
Public hearing for visitors who wish to address the board on closed session items. 15 minutes of this portion of the meeting are reserved for members of the public to address the board on closed session items. Speakers seeking to comment on other items are requested to make those comments during the public comment portion of the meeting at 6:30 p.m. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. The school board is prohibited by law from taking action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusion should be drawn if the school board does not respond to public comment at this time. If you wish to address the board on an item included in this section of the agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they appear on our screen. Comments provided in writing will be read after the live comments. President Salazar, we do not have participants who wish to address the board at this time, and we do not have comments submitted in writing for this portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Soto. Seeing none, hearing none, I close up this public hearing and adjourn to closed session to discuss item 1A to 1D. The board will reconvene at the closed session, at the conclusion of closed session. 6:30 p.m. and I call to regular meeting to order. Welcome to tonight's board meeting. I would like to welcome the media and everyone joining as in person and via Zoom. If you would like to make a public comment, please listen carefully to the directions provided by the clerk at the opening of each public comment period during the meeting. Superintendent Lyle?
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board and staff, and members of the public, I'd like to remind us of our vision and our mission. Madera Unified will set the standard for hard work, creativity, and resiliency with a fearless drive to continuously improve. And our mission states that we are committed to creating and sustaining a culture enabling Madera Unified students to experience an unparalleled educational journey that is intellectually, socially, and personally transformative. That is the nature of our work this evening.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item number 3, roll call. At this time, I ask everyone joining this meeting to please silence any electronic devices that are not linked to this meeting. Mrs. Soto, please call the roll.
Trustee Guillen? I'm sorry, Trustee Cesar Ramirez?
Here.
Trustee Santos?
Here.
Trustee Ahmad? Trustee Cortez?
Here.
Trustee Dybert?
Here.
Trustee Fleek?
Here.
Trustee Seibert?
Here.
Clerk Mendoza?
Here.
And President Salazar.
Here. Thank you, Mrs. Soto. Did you mark one absent? Thank you, Ms. Soto. Trustee Fleek, would you please lead us in a flag salute?
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic, one nation, indivisible. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Fleek. Tonight's scheduled invocation will be provided by Pastor David Hawes of the Well Church. I invite Pastor Hawes to the podium.
All right, so good to be with you all tonight. Let's pray. Father, I want to thank you for these men and these women here in this room. I want to thank you for everyone in this school district who has a heart to see our children educated, informed. And I just want to pray a specific prayer. I want to ask that you would increase for these men and these women and all the teachers and staff and administration and coaches all across the district, increase their love for their students, for their athletes. I pray for the students. I pray that you would increase their respect. You would increase their desire to learn and to grow and to look up to the men and women in their lives. So Lord, I pray that you would do this and that our school district would thrive and it would flourish under the leadership of the men and the women in this room who care so much Would you help them to persevere, help them to keep working hard, to keep enduring, to keep being filled with hope for each day as they wake up, and energy and creativity. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Halls. Item number 4, closed session reportable actions. Superintendent Lyle.
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, by a vote of 6 yes, 0 no, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent, the board approved the settlement of a special education dispute in the matter of student versus Madera Unified School District, OAH case number 2023-010807. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item number 5, adoption of the agenda. Mrs. Soto.
Action to add or delete items from any portion of the agenda or to discuss any consent agenda items must be taken prior to adoption of the agenda.
Thank you, Mrs. Soto. Superintendent Lyle, does staff have items to add or remove from the agenda?
We do not this evening, ma'am.
Trustees, do you have items to add or delete from the agenda? First, okay. Trustees, do I have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as presented? Please state your name when you make a motion and second the motion.
Trustee Dybert, request to approve the adoption of the agenda as presented.
Clerk Mendoza, I second it.
It has been moved by Trustee Dybert and second by Clerk Mendoza to adopt the agenda as presented. Mrs. Soto, please pull the board for the record.
Trustee Sosa Ramirez,
Yes.
trustee Santos,
Yes.
trustee Ahmad, trustee Cortez,
I'm sorry, yes.
trustee Dybert,
Yes.
trustee Fleek,
Yes.
trustee Seibert,
Yes.
clerk Mendoza,
Yes.
and President Salazar.
Yes.
President Salazar, I counted 8 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent, and 2 of those votes are preferential.
Thank you, Mrs. Soto. I don't have. Okay. Go ahead, Superintendent Lyle. One more readout.
My apologies to the trustees and everyone in attendance. I have one more report out from closed session that I need to read. So in closed session, the board took action to approve resolution number 32-2022/23 that issues notices of non-reelection release to probationary and/or temporary certificated employees pursuant to Education Code sections 44929.21 and 44954, effective at the end of the 22-23 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notices. The roll call vote was as follows: 6 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent. Thank you. My apologies again.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Student Board Report, Stephanie Hernandez Santos at Madera South High School.
In person.
Good evening, Board President Salazar. Sorry, and Superintendent Lyle. My name is Stephanie Hernandez Santos. I am a senior at Madera South High School, and I am ASB Student Body Secretary. I will present information about the Madera South High School. ASB, Link Crew, and the senior class collaborated all together for the Spread of the Love Week for the first 2 weeks. The senior class, they hosted a dodgeball game versus the seniors versus the staffs. It was an amazing game. A lot of people watched, and it was very interactive with the students. Link Crew, they played music during the lunch, all love songs, at which some of the stallions dedicated to the other fellow stallions. ASB leadership, what we did was that we heart attacked the school by cutting out hearts and putting them all over the school and giving one to every student so they could all feel loved, because we should all feel loved. Another thing we did was we went to the Purple Pyramid schools, so the feeder schools, and we did cute little posters and put them all over so they should know that they're also loved and not just spread it at Madera South, but all over. We also did the same thing for the Matilda Torres and Madera High ASB classes. The 4 students in Ms. Shelton's historical literacy class attended a day in the Remembrance hosted by the JACL at Fresno Fairgrounds on February 11th. The students have been working on the Madera Method project on the Nishimoto family, and where they were able to meet family members and intimate survivors. They volunteered. We have amazing students. So this is our academic decathlon team. Our team hosted a study/team building party with the MLK Academic Pentathlon. The 2 teams and coaches spent the afternoon together, and it was a fun afternoon. What they did was they had pizza for lunch, they played iceberg games, and they also they played Pictionary game to study for their upcoming competitions. So this little study hall was really good, was a benefit for both MLK and Madera South. This is our FFA, 2 students who were elected. Well, there were 2 of 70 students who were chosen across the state to participate in an FFA leadership conference. They spent the weeks meeting state legislators, debating bills, and participating in state legislation's stimulations. So proud of them. This is our Stallion FCCLA. FCCLA has a chapter of 13 students who have qualified to compete at the California State Conference and Competition. All 13 students will travel to Riverside April 22 to the 25th. Additionally, the FCCLA student has 46 students to submit applications for the Golden State degree. This is a very proud moment at the Madera South High School because a lot of students volunteered to help out their community. The Madera South High School also partnered with the Central California Blood Bank and held a blood drive on Madera 3rd. HOSA's chairperson Alana de la Cruz and her committee helped organize the event and were able to collect 55 pints of blood to benefit those in need of life-giving transfusions. They did it willingly, and we're so proud of our students because they are so willing to help out other people. Okay. And this is our basketball team. And we just want to congratulate our Madera South boys basketball team who have won the Division 5 Central Section Championship at Sealand Arena versus McFarland. The ending score of 71-64. This is the amazing part. Get ready. This is the first boys basketball championship in the town of Madera since 1963. So proud of them. Go Stallions. This special individual was recognized. This is Daniel Valdez. The Madera South Boys Basketball Championship, Daniel Valdez received the Fighting Spirit Award from the Fresno County Office of Education at the Sealand Arena after their Division 5 win. Our Madera Unified basketball team played the Justin Garza Guardians for the second game of the season. Sadly, Madera, we came a little short, but it's okay. But Madera MVP of the game was Karen Huera from Torres High. Our two headed football coaches, Matt Johnson from Madera South and Joseph Marquez from Torres, coached the team. Amazing individuals. That's the end of this presentation. Do you guys have any questions or anything to add?
No questions. Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you so
Hernandez
much.
Santos. I invite Martisa Martinez to present the Alternative Education Student Board Representative Report.
President Salazar, she may not be online. I believe Mrs. Castrillon is going to present for us.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and present. So this is not Maritza, this is Mrs. Hilda Castrillon, the principal of Herman High. Yes, so these are just the events that we had. I know that we weren't able to present this last time. So some of the events are from December and January. In December, Mount Vista High also held a winter formal and they had a trip to Hearst Castle. In January, they sent students to the Safe School Ambassadors Training and they also had academic awards. Can you go to the next slide, please? And these are pictures of their Winter Wonderland formal that took place on December 17th at the Madera Technical Exploration Center, MATTEC. Next slide, please. And these are also pictures of their Hearst Castle trip that took place on December 9th, 2022. Next slide, please. They also conducted Safe School Ambassador Training, partnership between the students and staff to stop and prevent the bullying, violence, and harassment and other mistreatment. And of course, to encourage a safe school environment. Next slide, please. They also held Academic Awards Assembly on February the 1st. And one of the areas is to recognize and encourage, of course, students to complete credit completion. And so far, they've had 74% of their students earn 35 or more credits school-wide. Next slide, please. These are also some of the activities and events that have taken place at Ripperton High School, home of the Road Runners. Next slide, please. Ripperton High School Life Skills Challenge, home of the Road Runners. They connect with community partners for this. Next slide, please. They also had students take part in the welcome with President Jimenez Sandoval on February 8th at 10:30 a.m. at Fresno State. Next slide, please. And they also partner up with community partners in order for students to acquire work skills. Next slide, please. The next few slides are Herman High events for the months of December through March. And I'm going to be quick because I realized that, we're running out of time. But we had several activities take place throughout the months of December through March. Next slide, please. We also celebrated 12 days before Christmas. Next slide, please. We also, just like Mount Vista, held the winter formal, and this was our first winter formal on December 2nd at Matilda Torres. Next slide, please. Our students also conduct civic service, just like the Road Runners from Ripperton. This year, they participated in Christmas gift wrapping and also a canned food drive for the Holy Family Table of Madera, California. Next slide, please. We also celebrate the student champion for the second quarter. We did have Haley Goodrich, And we had a chance to meet her parents and celebrate it with them. Next slide, please. We also celebrate our teachers that are nominated by students. And so we had 4 teachers nominated also for responsibility gratitude the second quarter. Next slide, please. We are also celebrated, kicked off the Friday football, January 27th, and had through leadership food sales fundraiser, barbecue. Next slide, please. We also have been partnering up with family Madera Movies Madera, and we had a family movie night, again, supporting our Furman students and their families, a night to spend together as a family, and also helped us with the fundraising. Next slide, please. Furman High has been holding financial aid workshops for students to apply for the FAFSA, and in terms of assisting the parents and the students to complete the application online. Next slide, please. And we've, just like many schools, we're promoting cultural awareness. We've celebrated Black History Month, and this month of March, we're also celebrating non-discrimination and promoting unity and acceptance. Next slide, please. And we also had a student participate in our fashion show. Next slide, please. And thank you, everyone. And we are supporting our students to finish strong and graduate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Trustee, now, student board member information and report. Trustee Sosa Ramirez, I invite you to share your report with the board.
Good evening, President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board and individuals present. I am Trustee Sosa Ramirez with THS Student Voice Update. A Student Voice meeting was held in the lecture hall of THS Tuesday, March 7th of the current year. During this forum, various discussions arose within the central topic of social-emotional support services, the facilitation of existing and expansion of resources to students. To begin the conversation, the students were giving a list of the resources available on our campus. Questions arose about how the support services could be accessed, about the referral process, and suggestions were given in regards to the advertisement of these services. Some suggestions included bulletin boards display on campus, social media content, web link within the MUSD page with a list of resources, and many others. Following the same idea of social-emotional and overall initiatives to support other students, students identified the need for food, clothing, and hygiene essentials to be present within campus and available to students throughout the day, as well as an increase in the hours in which facilities such as the library could be open for them to access. Otherwise, the creation of a space outside of school hours before and after, in which they could access student services, computers, internet, and be able to hang out, do homework, as well as access social-emotional support services. Suggestion for future topics included AB 367, LCAP, dress code expectations, May Mental Health Month resource fair activities. And that's it.
Thank you, Trustee Sosa Ramirez. Trustee Santos, I invite you to share your report with the board.
Thank you, Board President Salazar. Good evening, Superintendent Lyle, Clerk Mendoza, and members of the board. Alternative Education had a successful Student Voice meeting last February 21, 2023, wherein student representatives from Ripperton, Mountain Vista, and Furman High School had an opportunity to constructively share their concerns to make their school a better place to learn and thrive with dignity, respect, and security, which was attended by MUSD officials, Superintendent Lyle, Trustee Dibert, Area Assistant Superintendent Mr. Lala Lopez, and Mr. Jesse Carrasco, Senior Executive Assistant Ms. Soto, Ripperton Principal Mr. Collegian, and Furman Student Advocate Ms. Anguiano. It is with deep appreciation for Superintendent Lyle's swift action and tremendous support in addressing alt ed concerns. Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Next, Furman had a 3-day special visit by WASC accreditors last March 3 to 5, 2023. Again, attended by our hardworking and indefatigable Superintendent Lyle and Trustee Dibert, to which the school and accreditors discussed the perception of self-study, planning, and its process. These were accomplished by observing and interviewing school staff, students, and parents, identifying school-wide strengths and critical areas for follow-up. Recommendations, documentation, and justification were submitted and discussed. The event culminated with the oral report by Furman staff, which was presented to the accreditors, staff, and shareholders through a PowerPoint presentation at Furman High. This concludes my information and report for all. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Santos. Now to item number 8, communications. Student staff and recognition, item number 8.1, the Madera minutes. Superintendent Lyle.
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, I invite you to watch a video that highlights some of our most outstanding activities these last several days since we met.
Hundreds of books were read across Madera Unified as the district joined the country during the Read Across America week-long event. Schools around MUSD opened doors to students from other schools, local first responders, community leaders, school board members, and other familiar faces to read to students during this reading celebration. Schools also organized days with themes about certain books to get their students, staff, and faculty involved. It was another successful local control and accountability plan meeting for Madera Unified. Trustees, parents, and staff attended the meeting at Torres High School. Attendees got the opportunity to discuss several topics regarding the district and MUSD students. Families got the chance to offer district staff suggestions on how our funds should be spent for the 2023 and 2024 school year. It was a day of celebration for students in Ishimoto Elementary School last week as they held a holy celebration for their kindergarten classes. Students were able to throw harmless, colorful powder into the air. This celebration is prevalent and special among the people of India, and it represents a triumph of good over evil as well as the beginning of spring. All of Madera Unified was able to enjoy some delicious tangerines, all thanks to the students at Madera South High School FFA program. In 2022, students harvested nearly 50,000 oranges for students within the school district. For 2023, students hope to harvest the same number or more.
It feels really cool. I actually get to meet up with some of the elementary school students during our Ag Literacy Day. And a lot of them, and even the teachers and parents, don't know that these oranges grown here are going to their schools. And so it's a really unique experience being able to inform them about that.
Every student at Madera Unified enjoyed the tangerines during their lunchtime. The students from Madera South High School FFA Farm harvested all tangerines. In other things, 6th grade students from Madera Unified attended the annual Career Pathway Fair at the Madera Fairgrounds last week. The event opened doors to the countless career opportunities that exist for students. Those in attendance were able to talk to local first responders and health specialists and learn about some of the programs that exist at our high schools and more. And Matt Tech joined hundreds of others around the Central Valley who woke up bright and early last week for the annual Kids Day fundraiser for Valley Children's Hospital. This year's volunteers accepted donations and handed out postcards with more information on Kids Day. And congratulations to the Madera Unified Communications team as they received 3 awards of merit from the California School Public Relations Association at the CalSPRA 2023 conference in San Diego. The team won in the categories Internal Communication Campaign for Madera Unified Student Champion Course, Multimedia Visual Communications for the History of Madera Unified Video, and General Publications for the We Believe newspaper December 2022 issue. And what better way to close this Madera Minutes than with great news? Congratulations to the Mattan 1323 robotics team for taking first place at the Central Regional Competition over the weekend.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Now go to number 8B, public hearing for visitors who wish to speak on a subject not on the board agenda. Mrs. Soto?
15 minutes of this portion of the meeting are reserved for members of the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the school board. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. If the subject is an item on the agenda, the board president has the option of asking the speaker to hold the comment until that item is called. Comments on items listed as a public hearing on the agenda should be held until the hearing is opened. The school board is prohibited by law from taking action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusion should be drawn if the school board does not respond to public comment at this time. If you wish to address the board on an item included in this section of the agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they appear on our screen. Comments provided in writing will be read after the live comments. President Salazar, we have Carmina Ramos who'd like to address the board. Ms. Ramos, if you could please state your name and city of residence.
My name is Carmina Ramos. City of Residences is Madera County.
Go ahead.
Yes, I would just like to thank the board for their support regarding the tutorial services that they pass for our kiddos, our more vulnerable population. I, as a CASA that works with a lot of the homeless and foster youth, have seen an improvement on our kiddos, plus not only with their grades, but also socially. So I just wanted to thank the board.
Thank you, Mrs. Ramos. Thank you, Ms. Soto. Any other ones? Mrs. Soto, seeing or hearing no others, I close the public hearing. Item number 9, information and reports. 9A, Valdez Educational Services informational update. Superintendent Lyle.
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, and members of the board, we have Director Crafton here to present this item. And you remember it was a challenging one when we first started this, and we worked really hard to try to dial this in succinctly and clearly so that we were able to get a better comfort level for our boards, for our board on the outcomes we intended to achieve. Dr. Crafton.
So good evening, President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, trustees, Superintendent Lyle, and colleagues, and those of you out in Zoom land and in the room. We are here today. Rosa Galindo is the Program Manager of Children and Families in Transition, and we are here today to give you an update in regards to Valdez tutoring as promised. So if you recall, you approved the service in January of 2022. And so we have some data to show you for the entire year, calendar year, from January to December. So from that period of time, there were 134 students that were served in around 6,500 hours of service. If you recall, each student was given 3 hours minimum a week. In some rare cases, we had students receiving up to 5 hours a week of service. But in most cases, those students received at least the minimum of 3 hours a week, and they were able to dictate what type of service they needed. So for example, we had some newcomers who needed just help in understanding school because it was the first time they'd ever been in school in America. We had some students who are very, very bright and didn't necessarily need the academic help, but needed the organizational skill help, needed to understand how to navigate the systems in order to go on to college. So we had a variety of needs that were met with Valdez based on the need of the student and the parent and the conversation that occurred with the tutor. So all of these different items that are listed here, I think were just kind of an overview to remind you that it's not one specific service that's being provided. It's meeting the student where they are at with parent input and then trying to grow them forward. I think the big piece is that it's all put into a Google document so that teachers and administrators at the school site can see comments from the tutor and how the student is progressing and can communicate in that format in a two-way realm if needed. And some teachers and administrators have taken full advantage of that, and that's been extremely helpful. So these are just the different kind of breakdowns of how many are getting services in the home. Some are getting them after school in the school setting. Some are meeting in a public space. And then some, because they are in transition, are meeting in multiple locations because they are constantly, unfortunately, having to move. And so we're trying to meet the needs of the child and the parent at whatever to overcome whatever obstacles are in their way. This is the breakdown of the student that are being served by the identity of foster or homeless. Other are those kids that are what I call one step away from meeting those criteria. So they're highly vulnerable students who maybe aren't quite there yet, but they are very close to that. We're trying to prevent that and keep them in school. And then you'll see the breakdown by grade level as well. If you recall, the goal was for 75% of the students that were receiving the service to meet their best growth target on the Me2B reports. And so here is the data for that period of time, again, from January until December. So you've got the break of summer in between, unfortunately, so it wasn't fluid and consistent throughout the whole entire calendar year. But in some cases, we try to continue it all the way until the end of June for students. So we had 17% in reading meet their growth target goal, with 46% showing improvement. So a total of 63% showing improvement. We were pleasantly surprised of the math because, as you know, in this district, that is our challenging area. Certainly reading is not stellar, but we definitely struggle more in the math category. Here we saw students have the most significant growth overall, with 72% showing total improvement. So we were very pleased with the data when we did the deep dive. Here's additional data that we didn't say that we would report, but I feel is very important because it's relevant to the student in general, as far as their performance and potential. You had 51 students improve in their attendance. Now, that doesn't mean that the other ones didn't improve. Maybe they didn't need improvement. Maybe they were already good attenders, but in the overall number of students, 46% of them did improve their attendance in school. I like this piece of data, as you know, because this is my area. We had 12 students who had significant behavioral improvement. And so we had 47 students of the total number of students who had significant discipline, and 12 of those had significant improvement. And we attribute that to the relationship building that the mentors do with the students. And then 46% of students improved their grades. The most important piece of data in my mind is that not one single student went backwards. So every single student that received some level of service at least maintained, if not improved. Not one went in the opposite direction in any of these categories. So I felt that that was very important to bring forward.
Director Crafton, just for 1 second, that particular piece of data is really important. Just because we have to consider the challenges the students are up against and the transitions they're in their lives. Would you elaborate on that just a little bit? Because to not fall backwards doesn't sound like it's a really big deal in the world of education for all kids, but in particular, these targeted students, it is.
Right. And so remembering that we're serving students in transition, either through the foster care system or because they themselves are in some type of unstable home environment where maybe they are living out of a motel. I don't know, Rosa, if you currently know the number of families that are in our motels in town. Do you have a rough estimate?
Total number of our families in transition are about 600 students that we have right now, and a good, I don't know the exact number, but I think about 5% of our students are living in hotels and motels. It's been fluctuating this whole academic school year, but it's the first time in the school year since I've been in this position where we started off a school year with 7 families in one hotel room. I'm not one hotel, excuse me, in one hotel over by the pilot. So that has never happened before in the history that I've been a program manager. So that, and the numbers just fluctuate. As funding gets cut, our families are having to move to different locations, but we do have quite a handful of them at our hotels, at the Casa Grande, at the Pilot Hotel. They just remodeled the Cynthia's Motel, and now it's Gateway Lodge right there off of Gateway, and 3D's Motel. Those are the ones, the hotels that our families are staying at. And it's one room, just to remind you guys, it's one room per family. So if it's a family of 5, it's just one room.
So you can understand that the obstacles are pretty great. One of the first experiences that Rosa's referencing, I remember delivering some food to what we call the Pilot Hotel. I think it's called America's Best, and going in and knocking on the door. And when the parent tried to open the door wouldn't open because there were blow up beds all over the floor because she had 7 children. And so they were in one room with 7 children trying to navigate Chromebooks and homework. And it was very, very, very stressful. All of the children, of course, still want to do their best and have an opportunity at school, but having to navigate through the fact that they didn't have their items because it was in storage and the storage unit hadn't been paid and they couldn't get their birth certificates to get in school. They couldn't get clothes. There were just a lot of challenges that this one particular family had that I got firsthand experience with. And it is really an incredible piece of data to recognize that they didn't go backwards. And I think that just attests to the support and even just the relationship and the mentorship that the Valdez company can provide through their tutors, whom again are being recruited out of our local colleges, not necessarily in the educational pathway, but in the services pathways. Some of the best tutors have been graduates from our programs. So that's been a really neat piece of data they've shared with us, that they were, Madera South specifically, high school graduates who have been their most successful tutors in some cases. So.
Thank you for diving in a little deeper on that.
Sure. And this is just qualitative data. These are some of the comments that our families have shared. So we just put a few up there, but they're very pleased and happy with the service because for whatever reason, their child cannot be successful in the virtual tutoring platform. And so this has provided their child with a relationship and a connection and support so they can deal with trying to find resources to get some stability in their homes. So that's it. If there's any questions, we're here to answer those. We just wanted to give you an update and again, say thank you for approving that service because it's been a blessing for us to be able to provide to our families.
Thank you, trustees. Do you have any questions? Thank you, Ms. Preston.
President. I just have a comment. I just want to commend you one more time for, adopting that goal, which is closely aligned with our district goal. And I think this really shows the resilience of our kids. I really like, an underdog story. And I think our kids are kind of in a tough position, especially as it relates to our families in transition. And I think all the numbers are really promising across all the indicators. And I look forward to what you guys are going to continue achieving. And I do have a question as far as you guys, what do you guys have planned as far as getting closer to that goal that you guys adopted back in 2023?
Well, what we're hoping to see is that with the continual services from the beginning of the school year to the end of the school year, so at the end of the spring semester, we're hoping to see an increase just because of the continuous service being provided. When we got approval, it was a little bit of a rocky implementation. And so it took probably until March of that first beginning to really kind of get established and get going. The numbers really kind of were, I wouldn't say hit and miss, but getting parents to trust and to embrace the service and, opening up their home or opening up wherever they are is always a risky ask. And so I think we had to navigate through those. Valdez is very versed in that. And so they did an excellent job. They recruited some really high quality tutors that unfortunately moved on in their education, which is wonderful for them. So I don't want to say unfortunately, it was just unfortunate for us that we had to go through a second hiring phase or a third hiring phase. But I think with the services now in place and it being more consistently delivered, I'm hoping to see a higher percentage. The challenge is that not every parent, not every student requests that content to be the area of focus. It might be like I have one student, like I said, she is very, very bright. She has a lot of academic gaps because of the transitions. She's been in and out of foster care, in and out of placements. And then also they are now currently in the family in transition and they're doubled up and tripled up actually. And so she's really, really bright. She is college bound in my mind, but I don't even know that she sees that for herself because she doesn't even know how to navigate that. So the whole original connection was just to gain some trust, one, and two, to see a role model a child who looks like her, who is a young lady, excuse me, who looks like her, who is in the system at Fresno State working towards a degree. And then 3, having that person help her navigate through what are the next things you need to do in order to get there. So it's not so much that she's being worked on with math and English, but for me, that's a bigger task to get her to see herself in that place that I know that she can be. So hopefully you'll see growth in all of the areas, but I think with the varied services, it may not be as targeted as maybe we envisioned originally, because it's turning and evolving as we experience the different needs of our students.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Ms. Crafton.
Thank you.
Item 9B, union time. At this time, I invite the presidents of the unions to address the board. Mr. Holder, would you like to address the board?
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, board members, Superintendent Lyle, I'll be brief. I have 2 issues to bring to the board's attention. One is, obviously, this is the time for non-reelects. I've already talked to Superintendent Lyle and HR Director, Assistant Superintendent Director Aiello over some concerns I had over some discrepancies in the evaluation of some probationary 2 members and the outcome that were led to their release. Superintendent Lyle and Assistant Superintendent Aiello are aware of my concerns with the outcome. And number 2, I just want to let you all know that the situations regarding elementary through high school disciplinary issues are problematic. They are still ongoing. And I want to be clear to everybody that MUTA will do what we have to protect our members in this situation. And unfortunately, with societal issues, it's not just this district, but throughout the state and nation. But MUTA will do what it has to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holder. Any other union presidents? Okay. Item number 10, Superintendent Hein, Superintendent Lyle.
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board and public. I'd first like to thank M&O and Transportation, Director Manganan, Supervisor Mora, and the custodial staff of our schools, along with all the school staff, are working really hard to keep us safe and dry during this difficult storm season. We haven't had storms like this in decades, but we've kept all our schools operational and safe. And we have also successfully navigated the roads with careful efforts of our bus drivers and Director Griffin and Supervisor Hatfield. It hasn't been easy, and our teams are working really hard out there to keep all of our students safe, and we appreciate it. I got the chance to attend the new classified employee orientation on March 1st at Torres High School. The entire team in HR did a fantastic job of representing the community compact and our student champion concept. Assistant Superintendent Aiello would have been proud of how his team performed had he been there. The Red Pyramid LCAP meeting on March 2nd at Torres High School was organized in conjunction with Assistant Superintendent Sissel and leaders of the Red Pyramid. It was a very enthusiastic parent outing with great feedback, and the staff and our leadership really learned a lot from it. Also had the opportunity to go to Furman's WASC visit on Sunday, the 5th of March, and Principal Hilda Castrione did a wonderful job of representing the passion of her staff and the potential of her students. The visiting team was very, very complimentary, and we're all optimistic that the report will be validating and informative. The students in particular, their families, and the staff were incredibly well represented throughout the visit, and they should all be rightly proud. Student trustee Sosa, and especially trustee Santos, who had a really nice presentation. Sorry, I skipped that line. Student trustee Sosa Ramirez held a student voice meeting on March 7th at Torres. It was incredibly successful. The students unearthed issues around clarity and consistency of general social emotional support, counseling access, and services. And they provided valuable insights on things that we can improve. And we heard them loud and clear, and we're working to put together an alignment meeting around this topic. I also had the opportunity to attend the Superintendent's Professional Learning Network up in Sacramento on March 9th. It was organized by the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence to utilize an improvement science approach to leadership. And the Carnegie Foundation sponsors this work, and it's led by senior fellow and former Fresno Unified Superintendent Mike Hansen. A small group of leaders from historically underperforming school districts met to begin an 18-month program of support around equitable changes in student achievement. Exactly what our governance team wants. So far, it feels like the kind of group I want to be affiliated with. And then lastly, this weekend, the Madtown Robotics 1323 defended its Central Valley Regional Competition title in their signature style. The fastest, most agile, and well-built robot in the field dominated every round and was the high scorer and top seed. Ultimately, the Madtown students and coaches prevailed, just like they have in 6 of the last 7 competitions, with a run of 5 straight regional championships in a row. Good luck to the team as they move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item number 11, consent agenda. Mrs. Soto?
Items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and are acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There is no discussion of these items prior to the board vote unless a member of the board or staff requests specific items to be considered and discussed separately and/or removed from the consent agenda prior to the adoption of the agenda. It is understood that the administration recommends approval on all consent items. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the Board of Trustees shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended.
I now open the consent agenda for public comment. Mrs. Soto?
If you wish to address the board on an item included in this section of the agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they appear on our screen. Comments provided in writing will be read after the live comments. President Salazar, we do not have participants who wish to address the board at this time, and we do not have comments submitted in writing.
Thank you, Ms. Soto. No one come forward. I close public comment. I now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. State your name when making the motion and when you second the motion.
Clerk Mendoza, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
You have a second?
Trustee Fleek, I'll second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Clerk Mendoza, second by Trustee Fleet to approve the consent agenda. There are 2 resolutions listed in the consent agenda. Mrs. Soto, please pull the board for the record.
Sure. Trustee Sosa Ramirez,
Yes.
Trustee Santos,
Yes.
Trustee Ahmad, Trustee Cortez,
Yes.
Trustee Dybert,
Yes.
Trustee Fleek,
Yes.
Trustee Seibert,
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza,
Yes.
and President Salazar.
Yes.
President Salazar, I counted 8 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent, and 2 of the votes are preferential.
Thank you, Mrs. Soto. At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to thank and acknowledge the following retirees and their service, not only to Madera Unified, but also for their service and commitment to Madera community. Arlene Alves, Accounting Tech 1, will retire on March 31st, 2023, after 14 years of service. Superintendent Io, do you have any more administrative announcements?
I do. I have one this evening. President Salazar, I'd like to introduce to you the new principal of Madera Adult School. After a pretty extensive interview process, has included some important community partners of ours from WIOA and from the workforce, from Madera Workforce. We had the opportunity to find a unanimous first round selection. And that gentleman is with us this evening. He's been with us at Ripperton Community Day School, taking on a really challenging assignment there, and has really tried to build relationships that last and create an environment of stability for students to feel comfortable. He has extensive experience in adult school as well, from his previous experience at Sierra Unified. And so we really feel like in a really important alt-ed position where people come back to re-engage their education and try to better themselves after typically some pretty challenging life circumstances. As we hear every year in graduation from our keynote speakers, the students at Madera Adult School need someone who believes in them and who believes in connections and who helps them overcome. They're there for that very reason. So I'd like to introduce to you someone who knows how to do just that, help them overcome, Mr. Ara Collegian. Press the button, Mr. Collegian.
That it? Thank you very much. I have with me my son. I used to call him my baby boy. I can't do that anymore. This is a young man. This is Charles Collegian. He's a senior at Torres High School, and we're very proud of him. Thank you for coming. President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, Superintendent Lyle, Trustee Santos, all did. Thank you for this opportunity to lead a community by transforming lives. We do that every day. We all do that here. But at Madera Adult School, I believe we transform communities. I've been very passionate about adult education for a long time. As a former member of the Adult School Consortium, I know firsthand the outstanding reputation of Madera Adult School, so I know what I'm getting into. The outstanding reputation of its staff and of its current and former leadership. I feel blessed and honored to have this opportunity to become part of this school. Thank you again. And please allow me to take this moment, because you gave me a microphone, to talk about Ripperton School. And during my time at Ripperton, I've learned that the students are intelligent and talented. The staff is very dedicated to their students and the mission of Madera Unified and Ripperton School. Staff are all student champions and are all invested in the success of their students and their school. I want to thank this board, Superintendent Lyle, Area Assistant Superintendent Lalo Lopez, for the strong support Ripperton students receive. Your dedication to the school exemplifies equity over equality, as the sign says. I would also like to thank the executive cabinet members and directors for their assistance and support of Ripperton School and their students, in particular, Assistant Superintendent Prince Marshall, Lawrence Fernandez, Allison Crafton, Karen DeOrian, and there's a lot, too many to mention here. But mostly, I'd like to thank the students of Ripperton, whose dedication to their own education is evident every day, and they are resilient. As I move on now to work with adult learners, I'll carry with me the learning that the Ripperton students of staff have given me, and I am now a better educator for what they have taught me. Thank you again.
Thank you.
So Ara, in all reality, right, you know that you're stepping into some pretty big high heels in Ms. Gregory. She's done a really, really nice job coming out of the pandemic. Life has not been easy for the adults of the United States of America, much less of Madera Unified, right? And these parents going back, they're not all parents, but these adults going back to better themselves, they do need somebody to believe in. And I think the lessons of Ripperton are very, very well learned and applied to take over from Ms. Gregory. And we wish her very well in her retirement. She has earned it. Thank you.
Thank you. Now to item number 12, old business. Item number 12A, fiscal services request approval of the 2022-23 second interim report. Superintendent Lyle.
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, and members of the board, and public, I'd like to introduce you, maybe the hardest working woman in show business today. And she puts on a fantastic presentation of our financials. And this is a really challenging time, yet again, because there's so much that's changing in the world. But if anyone has a handle on it, it's CFO Garcia. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, trustees, Superintendent Lyle, good night. And today I'm going to review the second interim with you, and I hope that everybody received the book that I sent to you and that you have a copy of the presentation. And so today we're going to review the governor's proposed budget for 23-24, or enrollment and attendance, or revenue and expenditures, the ending balance and or reserve, the COVID and other one-time funds that the district is receiving, multi-year projection or checkbook balance, and or projected cash flow for this year, and other funds in our section of trust. So the governor revealed his proposed state budget for 23-24 early January. So we take that information and we adjust our calculations to make sure that we have the up-to-date information on our LCFF calculator specifically. So lower state revenues, everybody is aware that the revenues are not coming as they have estimated. The economy is slow, and there is an estimated 22.5 billion budget gap at the state level. But the governor is building on last year's record investment for K-12 education. He's continue his commitment to the to education. So according to his proposal, the education is not going to suffer any cuts or any losing any revenue. There is some, but not significant. The estimated 8.13% cost of living adjustment, COLA, is what his proposal for 23-24 to the LCFF. 1.2 billion reduction from the arts, music, and instructional material grants. And I think we have talked about that a few times already. And so for Madera Unified, we were expecting to receive 11 millions on that grant. And so we're expecting a 30% cut. We don't have the final number yet, but we're estimating that instead of 11 million, we're gonna receive 7 million. And Associate Superintendent Cecil brought to you the plan and you approve it with that 7 million in mind. Equity multiplier is a new term that was introduced just in that proposal. And it's a new ongoing funding that will be added to the LCFF in 23-24 if adopted. This is to support the highest need schools in the state. So not all the schools are gonna qualify, because to qualify, they need to be 90% eligible for free or reduced meals, and 85% for 9 to 12 for those schools. We are estimating that we may, some of our schools will qualify, but not all of them. These funds have the rule to supplement, not supplant. That means is that if we're already offering services, that we cannot use these funds to pay for those services that we are currently offering already. So it will be for new services specifically. It has to be included in LCAP. So that means if we are gonna spend these funds, like we're gonna receive it, we need to have actions in the goals of the LCAP that shows that we're using these funds. So we're still learning. It's not adopted yet. It's just a proposal, but we'll keep an eye. And of course, we're gonna include it in anything if approved. Enrollment and attendance, or enrollment for 22-23 was projected at 20,133. The CalPAS, what we report to the CalPAS, 20,151. That was a 25 increase from the prior year. So our enrollment is a little higher, but our ADA is not as it used to be. Our average attendance was in the 95% average. And we just did our P1 report. That is a report for the first 4 months of school, and our attendance was about 92%. So we're still low in attendance, and but the in a positive note, we have this governor in his this budget. He approved the new calculation then to use for ADA. So either we can use current year ADA, if last year's ADA, or the average of the last 3 years, whichever is higher. So for Madera Unified, we are using last year's ADA because last year we have the COVID ADA relief. So our attendance or ADA was at 19,211. So according to our calculation, this year we're lower than that. So we're gonna use prior year to that we're gonna count with that ADA to be in our LCFF to be funded. Our general fund revenue, we updated, and we are at 455.8 million. And either way, yes.
Yeah, they're considering funding by attendance instead of enrollment, or enrollment instead of attendance.
It's been the talk at the state, but at this point it's still in attendance.
So now
The
it's
funding
attendance,
is in
but they could
attendance.
Switch to enrollment.
Yes,
Well,
that's-
if they would, because they're hold us hostage with the attendance.
yes, that is correct, but the state has always funded this education and attendance. And so we still using that, the way they calculate.
Thank you.
Yeah. So for the revenue, we are including the stirs on behalf, and the board is knows that we have to include that amount of revenue, 13.2 million. And we have it in the revenue side and the expenditure side. LCFF revenue, 285.5 million. And that includes the 6.556 COLA plus the 6.7 base grant increase. This is current year. Unrestricted, 269 million, and restricted, 186.8. I want to remind the board and the audience that or LCFF funds the programs, special education and the repair, routine repair and maintenance. So from the money that we receive for LCFF, we have to fund those two programs. For special education, we have expenditure budget of 32.7 million. From the federal funds, we only receive 1.7 million. And you know, the federal is supposed to fund 40%, we're only getting 5%. The good news is President Biden released his 23-24 budget last week, and he's increasing Title I and special education. But of course, it's not going to be 40%, but any little bit helps. Next slide. So here is how we're comparing, you know, the adopted budget, that is the July 1st, to the first interim that was October 31st, and now second interim is January 31st. So I'm only comparing first interim to second interim, and the change is 3.1 million overall for the general fund. The major changes are listed there. So we have a little increase in the LCFF and 3.5 million additional in COVID relief. Remember that when I'll show you in the table where I have the COVID funds, and we have some COVID funds that are not in the budget, that we're holding those for next year. And so if we need a little bit more this year, I add it to the budget as we need it. Next slide. And revenue that is not in the budget, the COVID relief funds that I just mentioned to you. So we have still 25 million, and we're gonna use them next year. Arts, music, instructional materials grant is the plan that you approved a few meetings ago. We already received 6 million. We're still expecting another 1.5 million. The learning recovery grant, we're awarded 38 million. We already received 19 million, and it's at the bank. And we're still gonna receive another 19 million. And these funds, we can use them until June 30, 2028. So as COVID funds get depleted, we're gonna start tapping into the learning recovery grant. Home to school transportation is the new funding that for the last 10 years, home to school transportation have not received an increase. It was added to the LCFF when the LCFF was first introduced, and we have been receiving the same funding for the home to school transportation since 13-14. And so this is the first increase, and it's gonna be an estimated 1 million that we're gonna receive for this program. And so it will offset the transportation cost that we spend like 6 million every year on that program. And Proposition 28, just to remind you, it's a new ongoing funds that is for arts and music, and it's starting in next year, and it was board approved in November. And so we're estimating 3.8 million, and 80% of these funds needs to be spent in salaries and benefits. And it's a plan that Associate Superintendent Cecil brought to you, and you already approved it. Okay, so the general fund expenditures, we have 468.8 million in the budget, and includes the stirs on behalf, a special education, 32.7 million, the routine repair and maintenance, 94 million, and I want to remind the board, 3% of the general fund expenditures need to be spent in routine repair. It's a mandate. And so transportation, we have 8 million in the budget. And this year we budgeted for 3 electric buses. We receive a grant, but the grant only pay 50% and the district pay the other 50%. Utilities, 8.9 million. We updated the budget to make sure that we have enough budget to cover the rest of the year. So when we compare the same thing, adopted budget to first interim and then to second interim. So comparing first to second interim, we have a 1.3 million change. And in January, when we brought core staffing to the board, we have closed some positions that we were not gonna fill this year. And it was a savings because we reduced that budget from our books. And that is the 3.5 million that you see on the first line. And material services, capital outlay, I'm listing there what was not in the adopted budget that now is in first interim and second interim. As you can see, carryover is for the programs that mostly restricted funds that we didn't spend last year, we have to carry to the new year. And we don't do it when we adopt the budget on July 1st. We do it after we close the books for the prior year, then we bring carryover to the new year. New grants, the expanded learning opportunity programs, California Community School Partnership, Arts and Music, Instructional Materials, and the Learning Recovery Emergency Grant. Capital outlay expenditures, we acquired some land this year. We purchased a building this year. Deputy Superintendent Schultz has been very busy doing all these things, buying school buses, vehicles, and we also bought book bending machines for each elementary school. They cost $6,000 a piece. Okay, so just to disaggregate unrestricted from restricted, so you can see a real picture how much, what our percentage is in salaries and benefits. I separated the two. So unrestricted, we have 248.8 million. And as you can see, our salaries and benefits account for 85.3%. So when we negotiate and we are negotiating increases, remember that any increase that the board approves, we have to assume that it's going to be covered with unrestricted dollars, because restricted dollars are for specifics, and most of our positions are in unrestricted, are covered with unrestricted funds, not restricted. You will see the difference between the two. So this unrestricted is 85.3, and that is the average statewide is between 80 and 90% in salaries. So we are in the middle. So you see here restricted funds. We have a lot of restricted funds, but we cannot use those funds to do increased salaries across the board. So restricted funds only cover increases for the positions that are paid with restricted funds. And as you can see, it's only 40% of the restricted funds. Any questions there?
So you're saying the 40.2% is that percentage of the restricted funds?
Yes, that salaries and benefits only, yes.
Thank you.
So the ending balance and reserve, we're estimating the ending balance at 90.3 million. From there, we're gonna take the non-spendable, the assigned and the committed funds. So we get an adjusted ending balance of 47 million. Our expenditures are at 468.8 million. And when you make the calculation, divide the two, you get the 10%. And remember, the districts are required to maintain a 10% reserve. We have a cap. We cannot have more than that in our reserve. So here is the update for the COVID relief funds and other one-time funds. And the district has done very well spending the funds and meeting the deadlines. And we're planning to meet the deadlines for this fiscal year that ends on June 30, 2023. And we have in the budget, you see the budget on 22-23, the column before the last one, we have 83.5 million in the budget. and we still have 42 million not in the budget, available balance that we're gonna use as needed. And some of that is the COVID funds that I said that we're gonna use in next year. The 42 million, yes. Okay, so next. So from the budget that is in 2022-23, we have 15.6 million that is already encumbered and 27 million that we have already paid. So we have available budget of 40.8. We may not use all this fund, but remember, it will be a carryover to 23-24. So in the cycle goes again. For multi-year assumptions, we take in account what the information that the state provide to us. And so the cost of living, as we reviewed, this year is at 6.56%, next year 8.13%, and for 24-25 is estimated at 3.54%. So they are not anticipating that it's gonna be a big COLA like in next year. The augmentation based to the LCFF is only for this year, 6.7. So it's not gonna go, we're not gonna have another increase, but of course that increase is compounding to the following years. So it helps. CalSTRS is at 19.10%, and the percentage is not estimated that it's gonna increase. The superintendent asked me what was the percentage that we were paying in 12-13, and that was 8.25% in CalSTRS. So if we were paying that percentage today, we were gonna save about $10 million that we're paying in addition. CalPERS, we are at 25.3%, and next year is increasing to 27%. I look at that number too. In 12-13, we were paying 11.4%. It's about $5 million if we have. In 12-13, the percentage was 11.4 for CalPERS. Okay, so lottery, unrestricted and restricted, we receive some dollars there, and those are the rates that we are receiving per ADA. Mandated block grant, we receive that too, and those are the rates for the different grades. The consumer price index, right now it's at 6% for this year, and I just got a report from the School Services of California, and it went up again this month or last month, so it's up 5.5% annually. And so for next year, the 23-24, as we start the budget development, I'm adding a 10% consumer price percentage in our services and for inflation, yes. So our plan is to increase the budget for the sites, so the teachers have more funds to spend at their classroom. Usually the schools allocate about $500, $450 per class, and we want the principals to increase that budget for the teachers. Everything is going up. The hourly rate, the minimum hourly rate, we are paying $15.50 this year, and it's gonna go up to $16 next year in January. And the routine restricted maintenance, the 3% that I talked earlier, that we have to maintain every year. So here is how our LCFF new revenue will look according to the COLA percentages that they were estimating to receive. So for 23-24, we're gonna start with 23-24, since 22-23, it's already done. 8.13% means about 24.8 million additional funds. But as you can see, we have the expenditures that will go up, the stepping column salary increases. We have the 4% that we already negotiated and settled with our union partners. So it will cost about 6.7 million in the new year. PERS, the 2% increase that for the rate, 650,000. Health and welfare, we have a 3% escalator that we have to account for. And like I mentioned to you, the consumer price index is gonna go up for inflation. So I'm adding that for supplies and services. The new positions that you see there for 2.6 million is the positions that you approve in core staffing, but only the ones that are covered with LCFF funds. Any positions that are covered with grants and other funds are not in that number. And the minimum wage increases, and as you can see, our new expenditures are 15 million. So we may see a surplus of 9.7 million, but as you can see, we have a deficit from the prior year and a deficit in the following year. So these surplus are going to help to balance that. And the 25-26, you can see that 3.31% COLA, 11.2 million in revenue, and 7.6 in expenditure. And in 24-25, I'm sorry that I skipped that. It's the 12 million in new revenue, but that year is when the COVID funds are depleting or we should spend them. And so those positions that we're covering with COVID funds, we need to absorb them with the unrestricted general fund.
And CFO Garcia, you already have a plan to do that, correct?
Yes.
Right, so just because I know sometimes the board might imagine that, like, we know that's coming, do we have a plan to deal with it? And the answer is yes.
Yes, the board approved a resolution last year to commit 22 millions just to absorb those positions and make sure that we have enough. Because remember that we have a 4% increase next year, but we don't know how the negotiations will go for 24-25. So we may have to absorb a higher amount of in the salaries if we have another increase in salaries or benefits increases. Like we can see, PERS will continue to increase, and STIRS at this moment the percentage is staying the same. But if they said that it's going to increase, we have to make sure that we have the funds to cover that.
And in so many ways, we're staffed well right now. We're meeting most of our own needs. We always have areas that we'd like to grow, but we're trying to anticipate the variables in the future and account for them while retaining the current staff we have.
Yes, and in none of these estimates, we have any personnel cuts. So next slide. So the current year ending balance and reserve, we have to meet that 10% reserve. That is our goal, to meet that cap. And for 22-23, 94 million at the ending balance, but the unassigned and reserve 47 million, and that is the number that the state will account to calculate that 10%. 23-24, 89 million, 42 million and unassigned, then that will meet the 10%. And the 24 and 25 and 25-26, no more COVID funds. And you see that the ending balance is reducing, but our expenditures will reduce too, because we don't have those funds to spend anymore. And our unassigned and reserve will be in the 43 and 42 million and to meet that 10%. Okay, the interfund transfer. So assuming that all that I say before comes true, and I'm estimating that we're still gonna continue to do the transfer to the building fund, and the board approve a resolution that gives me the authorization to increase and decrease that transfer as needed. The main goal is to meet that 10% cap. So this year we increased it to 8 million. Last time when I was here with the first interim, we have only 5 million. So I increased 3. So to meet that 10%. So the next year, 38 million. It may sound a large amount, but you can see in the list that I have there to help, it will help fund all these facility needs that we have and that are mandated by the state, and we have to comply. TK classrooms, Madera High, the board already approved the phase 2 and phase 3 for that school to go to start working on those modernizations. So we're gonna use Fund 41 to cover those needs.
Quick question. I don't see like for Madison.
Madison, we're doing it right now, but we haven't Director Cox has not given me a budget request yet for all the needs there. So I don't know where we
I
are.
fall under like our other mandatory.
The TK classrooms or the other mandatory programs, yes. Because the board approved for that school to go to KA. So whatever needs we have there, we'll have to use those funds too. Yes. And for the Hussein School, we have 35 million that is in the Fund 21. That is where we deposit the funds that are from the bond sale. But 35 million will not be enough to build that school. So these funds are gonna step in and fill the gap. Okay, and here is our checkbook balance. As of January 31st, we ended with 140 million in cash at the county. And we have the fair value adjustment that, remember, at the end of the year, because we have to do the adjustment, and our auditor came in and explained what this was. And so we'll keep that number in the books until we close the books this year and see what is the fair value adjustment for this year. So net cash, 135.3 million. And we have liabilities. It's money that the district owes that we have to set the money aside to make sure that we pay those bills. And accounts payable, 1.9 million. Health and welfare, 5 million. So in the months that we don't have, mostly the certificated staff that is not contracted in July, we still have to pay the insurance. And so the funds come from this account. We are collecting the funds from the employees if they have out of pocket or in the district contribution, and we put it in this account. So when it's time to pay, we have the funds in there. The employer taxes, we don't have anything there. We have paid all the taxes. Retirees health and welfare, it's to the retirees, they get billed every month to pay for their portion of the health insurance, and the district puts a contribution there to pay for their insurance. So that's what you see there, the 450,000 is to pay for the retirees health insurance. The CSAP classified summer savings, we have about 350 employees participating in this program, and it's they save and the state match what they save in July, and we pay them at the end of July. And we have participated for the last 3 years, and it's been dollar per dollar. So if the employee saves $1,000, the state sends $1,000 for them. Of course, we have to tax it, so they don't get the $1,000 from the state, but it's a very good program for classified staff that is not contracted in July. We already did the application for 23-24, and this year we have 419 employees that sign in for the program. It's about 650 employees that qualified, and so it's growing, like employees really take advantage of this program. The deferred payroll is where we save the money for our certificated staff. Again, the ones that are contracted for 11 months, they get a check in July, and we're taking a part of their check every month from payroll, and we put it like in a savings account, and we'll release it in July when they don't have a salary pay. And the use tax liabilities is our taxes for what we purchase that we are not charged. Sometimes when we pay out of state invoices, they come with no taxes. We still have to calculate the taxes and pay it even if the vendor is not charging us. And that's what you see there. So our cash balance after liabilities, 123 million. And of course, we have some receivables that people or organizations that owe money to the district that we also are waiting to receive, and it's 1 million. In this graph, you can see the July through June, and it's our cash flow. July through January are actuals, and February through June are projections. So we have ups and downs depending on when we receive money from the state or the local taxes that are paid quarterly. But as you can see, our district is being very lucky to have a good cash flow and that we don't have the need to borrow any cash. Next slide. And here are the other funds. As the board knows, our general fund is our main operating fund, but we have other funds that we also manage. The student activity special reserve is where we account for the ASB funds at the schools, middle schools and high schools. And we have about 800,000 in that fund. And we update it only once a year when we close the books. And we account for all the revenue that the schools receive and all the money that they spend. And then we put the numbers in here and we report the ending balance. The adult education, they receive revenue is 1.7 million. And as you can see, they are spending almost 2 million. And they have an ending balance of 302,000. And the 300,000 is for them to have a cash flow because the money doesn't come as we need it for to pay bills and pay the employees. So we always want to keep something in the bank so we are not short in cash for that fund. Child development is our preschool. They receive 3.9 million and they are spending 4.4 million. This because they have a carryover, the beginning balance, but we always plan that that program is going to spend everything. They always end with a little bit of carryover, but everything is in the budget. Child nutrition, 17 million in the revenue and 18.5 million in the expenditures. Director Charito is doing really good and spending the money received from that program. And this program cannot have a large balance at the end of the year. So we'll make sure that we're meeting the requirements, and Director Charito was making a fantastic job with that. The building fund is the one that I talked earlier, where we put the money when we do the bond sales. And so this year we haven't sold anything. We still have 50 million that pending to for sale, and those funds will supposedly for the second KA school and for other commitments that were approved when that was in the ballot and the approvers vote or for the whatever was in there to spend the funds. And so but we have 39 million, and as you can see, we're already budgeting, and that is for King Hussein. We're spending 8 million, so we'll have 31 in the budget, in the ending balance. And as more work is started with that school, more funds are gonna be spent and budgeted. Fund 25 is all the developer fees, and we're expecting 2.5 million in the revenue, and we're spending about 5.6 million, mainly for the Torres Stadium. Okay. And Fund 27 is the redevelopment agency. We only receive revenue, and we use those funds to pay the COP from 2014 that we still have pending. So you see the transfer out, and it's the 1.1 million that goes to Fund 56. There's Fund 40, the special reserve, 1 million is coming from the general fund, and that is to fund any upgrades or facilities upgrades that we need that don't qualify for routine repair and maintenance. Fund 41, that is our fund where our big transfer goes in. As you can see that in the transfer in and out column, we have the 8 million that I talked earlier, and we started with 47.6 million, and we're estimating ending with 50 million. So, and you saw the list of things that we have to fund with this money. Fund 51 is where the treasurer's office pays the bonds that were sold in our behalf. And so those funds, we don't manage it here. We receive the invoices. We send the invoices to the treasurer's office and they pay the bill, but we're required to report that in our financials at the end of the year. And Fund 56 is where we pay the COPs. We have two COPs, is certificates of participation, and they are just loans. And we have the 11 million that we still owe from the 2014 refinance COP, and that one was for Madera South, and the 75 million that we acquired in 2018 for Matilda Torres High School, and we're still paying that. The funds are coming, some are coming from the general fund, about 5 million, and 1 million from the redevelopment agency to pay those invoices. Lastly, our Section 115 OPEB trust, we opened this trust back in 2018. We have 9.8 million as of January 31st. 9 million is a district contribution, is what we have put in that account, and 828,000 in earnings. And of course, we pay the managing fees. We're still doing the 500,000 annual contribution per board direction, and we're saving to pay for the retirees' health insurance in the future. And then the next slide, you can see the details of how we've been doing this year. And some months are good and some are not so good. It's all depending on how the market is. And that's it. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. Trustees, do we have, excuse me, I now open this for public comment, Mrs. Soto.
If you wish to address the board on an item included in this section of the agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they appear on our screen. Comments provided in writing will be read after the live comments. President Salazar, we do not have participants who wish to address the board at this time, and we do not have any comments submitted in writing.
Excuse me. Thank you, Ms. Soto. See no one come forward, I close public comment. Trustees, do you have any questions for staff? Trustee Dybert?
A lot of information. I've been reading, but I'm okay right now. Thank you.
Trustee Cortez?
Just a question regarding the OPEB trust. Okay, so we're contributing 500,000 annually. Does that have to be at one lump sum, or can we adopt a dollar cost averaging throughout the year to, we do? Okay.
We have been dollar cost
Okay.
right? Make sure that we don't deal with the,
Right.
big spikes
Right.
in the market. So when you so we're not dealing with the volatility. We have been there's still, I think some of this balance that's in a cash account that's not fully invested in the market because we have been dollar cost averaging.
Got it. Thank you.
Great question.
Last year, the board approved to do a 5 million. And that 5 million, we staggered it by 500,000, like in several months.
Any more questions? Trustee Cortez? Trustee Fleet?
Very thorough report. Thank you.
Trustee Seibert?
Yes, I got a few questions here. On the other funds page, on the adult school education, they gonna spend more money this year than what they're gonna have come in?
They have a beginning balance, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Get to the page. So as you can see in the first column that is beginning balance, they have 500,000 in beginning balance. So the revenue is 1.7 and their expenditures is 1.98. So it's because they have a beginning balance, but if they didn't have a beginning balance, they have to stay within the revenue.
They gotta stay within there.
Yes,
Okay. It's supposed to be self-funded.
yes,
Their program.
self-sufficient, yes.
Okay, what's the other, you didn't cover this one, 35, county school facilities, what is that?
Okay, the school facilities is where we receive the state match. And so you see there's 6 million. So we received $5 million for the Madera South High School athletic modernization that we did couple of years ago, and we received the state match now. So that means is we have to pay for it first, and then, we apply, but we stay in line until we get funded, and then they send us the money. So we received that 5 million that we're gonna use with other needs. And we also received 877,000 for TK classrooms at Lincoln. We applied for 4 schools, but only 1 school was awarded, and it's 877. It's not what we need for the TK classrooms at Lincoln, but we'll take whatever they give us and we'll use it.
The other thing is on the debt service, our Torres High School COP, how much is that for?
When we got that COP was 75 million.
75
Yes,
million,
but
and
we've been
interest rate
paying,
On that is how much?
we pay
72.
5 million every year between principal and interest.
The interest rate, do you know? Pretty low. When we got it.
I believe the true interest cost on that is in the high 4.7%.
or-
Yeah,
And we owe like 72 million.
and that's 75 million.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we owe
it's,
right now like 72.
it's in the it's probably close to 75 still.
We
Yeah.
can't borrow money at that rate today.
No. No. Yeah, if you went out for a COP right now, your true interest cost would be higher than that.
Yeah, I thought the interest was a little bit lower than the 4%.
No, that's, it's gonna be, and those bonds too are callable, which allows the school district to pay them off early, so you don't have to, wait 20 years till they mature. So you pay a little more for that. And so when you sell bonds, you're also buying them at premium. You're not necessarily sometimes buying them at par value, the price of the bonds. So that changes your interest rate. So,
All right, thank you.
Clerk Mendoza.
Oh, thank you. No questions. Thank you.
Hey, I have a couple. On the governor's proposed state budget, when I attended the CalSET meeting on 2/24, they were saying that he was going to try to do a special resolution to roll back from 8.3, which is the cost of living, to maybe like a 6.4, depending what January came out with. And I think we came out with like 6.7. So he's gonna try to roll it back to the 6.4 for COLA for next year, not the 8.3. And then also, they are gonna try to find a way to reduce the Proposition 28 on the allotment of funds to that as well. And then that one there, and then also they're gonna go back and try to hit us with ADA based on what they're gonna be paying us based on ADA, not the average, not what we had during COVID. They're gonna go back to ADA. They're gonna try to find a way to reduce us without saying that they're reducing us. And so those things are concerning to me. And then, like you said, the federal government did increase the Title I and for special ed education. And another comment. I have it or not. The CalPERS, they're looking at those percentages because they want to save, they want to protect those CalPERS. So those, they might ask us to pay more into it. So those are funds that, but I thank you for the way you've been keeping an eye on all these balances, especially that we have these different facility projects that we have coming up. And you had explained on some of these funds, I don't have it in front of me, where the Torres Stadium is coming out of those funds because it wasn't in that list. And then Madison, but we will live that when we do the facilities update.
Yes.
Thank you so much though for your work.
And we will wait for the May revision that the governor will come back in May and give us an update on these different factors that are going to impact the district. So if the COLA goes down or it changes, we'll use that new number to update our LCFF to make sure that we have the up-to-date information when we bring the budget for next year. And yeah, That's it.
Cost for, I'd say labor overall 85%. The last time I went to one budget one, it was 87, so we've gone down a little bit. That is because of the COVID funds as well. Thank you. Okay. And now thank you very much. And now entertain a motion and a second to approve item number 12A. Please state your name when you make a motion and second the motion. Trustees? Myself, President Salazar, I move the motion to approve 12A.
Trustee Dybert, I second that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Dybert. It has been moved by President Salazar and second by Trustee Dybert to approve item 12A1. Mrs. Soto, please pull the board.
Trustee Sosa Ramirez,
Yes.
trustee Santos,
Yes.
trustee Ahmad, trustee Cortez,
Yes.
trustee Dybert,
Yes.
trustee Fleek,
Yes.
trustee Seibert,
Yes.
clerk Mendoza,
Yes.
and President Salazar.
Yes.
President Salazar, I counted 8 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent, and 2 of the votes were preferential.
Thank you, Mrs. Soto. And now move to item number 13, announcements. Superintendent Lyle.
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, tomorrow I'll be at the Madera County Superintendent of Schools office with Dr. Massetti and our Superintendent's Governance Council for our SELPA for almost the entire day. The Academic Pentathlon Awards for middle school that were to be held last Saturday on March 11th were postponed and rescheduled due to the inclement weather. The new date for the event is Saturday, April 29th at Ranchos Middle School. The award ceremony will begin at 12:45 p.m. if anyone would care to join me. The District Athletics Advisory Committee meeting will be held Wednesday, March 15th at 5 p.m. The meeting will be held at Rain Creek. The next DLAG meeting will be held on Monday, March 27th at 6 p.m. in the boardroom. And the CAVE conference is rapidly approaching. The conference is scheduled for Wednesday, March 22nd through Saturday, March 25th. And I, along with several trustees and lots of members of the executive cabinet and cabinet, will be present for the duration of that conference. And they have done a really good job getting ready.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item 14A, miscellaneous board member committee and information reports. Trustees, this is an opportunity for you to provide the board updates on reports from committee meetings or events you have attended. I will start with Trustee Dybert.
Yes, thank you, President Salazar. On March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I was a special guest reader at different classrooms at John Adams, Alpha, and Virginia Lee Rose as we celebrated Read Across America. The book I read was Chato's Kitchen by award-winning writer Gary Soto, and it was very rewarding, a rewarding experience to engage students and the reader alike. We finished hungry for Mexican food afterwards. It was a good book. On March 2nd and 3rd, I took course 2 of the Masters in Governance along with Trustee Cortez. I learned a lot about board's role in student learning and achievement and board policy. On Sunday, March 5th, I joined Furman High School Principal Castrillon, her staff, Trustee Santos, parents and students leadership in welcoming the WASC visiting team. It was a good turnout, and the team conducted interviews of the different stakeholders, starting with the board and superintendent. On Wednesday, March 8th, I returned to Furman High School to hear the WASC visiting team findings report with recommendations. It is my understanding that this report is not final and that full report will be provided to Principal Castrillon at a later date. On Wednesday, March 8th, I also attended the PAC meeting in which the members continue with the review and recommendations for the district's LCAP. They work on action 4 and 5. Thank you. On Thursday, March 9, I attended the Budget and Finance Advisory Committee, and CFO Garcia provided an update to the budget and a recommendation for increase of the department's budget due to the increase in the cost of goods. Deputy Superintendent Shores provided an update on the King Hussein construction project, as well as the Torres High School Stadium update, solar projects, and TK classrooms. On Saturday, March 10, I, along with trustees Ahmad and Cortez, attended the Small Fry 70-year anniversary dinner. It was a fun and well-attended event. And I want to give kudos to Mrs. Michelle Roberti Desmond and her parents for putting on such a nice event. It was the parents who ran the event and who took care of the details. Some of them expressed their desire to have principals of their children's school attend this event in the future and get to know them in a more relaxed way. Almost every school will receive a student from this program along with their parents. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Dybert. Trustee Cortez?
Yes, so as trustee Dybert mentioned, I attended the Small Fry 70th anniversary this past weekend. So there was great participation from the parents and the community. We had council members attend as well. I do want to, and other community leaders. I want to thank our superintendent Lyle for helping out and make sure that we had a couple of tables there and good representation on behalf of the district. We had some preschool staff there, and so it was a great event. And I also want to thank Director Bonilla for meeting with Trustee Dybert this morning and myself. We went over the district MLS and some of the metrics that are being measured there as it pertains to the district, different schools. We also got to see how different schools are engaging in healthy, positive competition as it relates to these metrics that we went over. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Cortez. Trustee.
The Madera County School Board Association had a very nice dinner at the Madera County Office of Education. It had to be changed because of the weather. And our speaker covered information on the budget and finances in Central Valley and our state, and it changes every meeting you go to. For Dr. Seuss's birthday week, Read Across America, I was very pleased to read to a second grade class at Sierra Vista. And it was really exciting for me because I hadn't done that since for a while. And it was good to see high school students that were very happy to read to elementary students. The Red Pyramid had their community feedback on LCAP at Matilda Torres High School. And it's always very interesting listening to the parents and their ideas that they have on how to improve our schools for their children. And the information from all three pyramids will be shared with the board. Madera South High School Fashion Club had another outstanding fashion show. A number of alumni shared their talent and modeling to add to the program. A group of students from East Central presented traditional clothing from the 32 different states in Mexico, and they were very proud and looked elegant in their clothing. The third grade tours will end this week at the Madera County Historical Society Museum, and I got to spend a week with my sister in Oregon.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Seibert?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Clerk Mendoza?
Yes, thank you, President Salazar. As some of you know, I've been the board president for Madera County School Board Association, and I attended the meeting last week. So they had an election, so I was elected once again as board president for another 2 years by the executive meeting and the general meeting assembly. So I'm the board president once again for 2 more years. So that's it. Thank you.
Well, congratulations. As for myself, I attended the DLAC and PAC meetings, and those parents are very involved in going over the goals and working with that and engaging. And I commend the staff for also giving the detailing explanation to these parents. Also attended International Women's Day, where they actually recognized Trustee Dybert, Trustee Fleet, and myself as women in leadership. And then I attended this weekend on Saturday and Sunday, the Madera Robotics, as they were competing the Central Valley First competition. They'll move on, and now they'll be The 29th to the 1st, they'll be in Monterey competing in that Atlantic Central competition. And then as far as announcements that I didn't say, we're having a board workshop on the 16th from 3 to 5. And also I'll be attending the CSBA legislative action with Senator Ana Caballero. And on the 15th, I'll be attending the one for Assembly Jim Patterson. And I'll be attending CAVE from 3:21 to 3:25. And we have a busy month ahead of us. Thank you. So now, any suggested advanced planning trustees? Okay.
Salazar, just, I don't know if I know in the past, the board has recognized students who have competed. They were brought to the board, and I know it stopped for a little while, and I can't remember why.
Can you
So-
take off your mask? I can't hear you clearly.
Can you hear
Can you
me
take-
better
can-
now?
Can I,
In the past, the board had recognized students that have won competitions, and they brought them forward, and then the board stopped for a while. So I'm not sure if the board would like to entertain that again, or if Superintendent Lyle has a criteria. Maybe I know sometimes it took a long time from the board, and that maybe that was one of the reasons to stop. But maybe there was, if the board wants to entertain that, or Superintendent Lyle can bring us a criteria of the most,
I think the last we did the FFA, right? Recognize them. We have been
We
recognizing
do.
some.
So the reality is it's hit and miss now. So you're both right. We haven't brought forward some of our championship teams, but we have brought forward some of our really exemplary students like with FFA and so on. So we haven't, and we need to get standardized about it again. So I appreciate the point you're raising, Trustee Dybert.
Thank you. Keep on putting my agenda away. Sorry, guys. Any other trustees or advanced planning? No, thank you. So anyway, we move for adjournment and it is 8:34. Good night. Thank you.